Something interesting is afoot between India and Canada. The two estranged nations are finding their way back to each other. Mark Carney is intent on attracting H-1B talent, and leaders are traveling back and forth to each other's countries as well. In fact, Mark Carney may even visit India in February, and efforts are being made to put FTA negotiations back on track. The thaw is real, and it's happening at a fast and calculated pace. So let's dive right into it. After External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar's meeting with his Canadian counterpart Anita Anand at the G7 meeting in Niagara, their second meeting since Anand's visit to India in October, the buzz is now firmly on trade. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal and Canadian Minister for International Trade Maninder Sidhu co-chaired the 7th India-Canada Ministerial Dialogue on Trade and Investment in New Delhi on Thursday, marking a clear signal of intent from both sides. According to a statement issued by India's Commerce Department, the dialogue focused on renewing trade momentum that had stalled amid diplomatic friction. Now remember, Sidhu's visit is significant. It marks a thaw after a 2-year diplomatic freeze triggered by Canada's accusation that Indian officials were involved in the killing of a Sikh separatist leader. India, on its part, has long been frustrated with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's leadership, which it saw as soft on Khalistani extremism and criminal activity. That phase, it seems, is over. The Khalistani veto on India-Canada relations is dead. What remains to be seen is whether Canada can live up to its promises of rebuilding trust. The renewed warmth has brought long-stalled trade talks back to life. Both ministers discussed reviving negotiations on the free trade agreement that had been suspended in 2023 following the diplomatic rift. Now this is important. Maninder Sidhu called for enhanced cooperation, increased investments, and to build resilient and secure supply chains. The two sides also welcomed a steady rise in two-way investments, and they reaffirmed their commitment to fostering an open and transparent business environment. Now this has been a calculated reset, and it has been only possible with the Mark Carney government. The thaw began earlier this year when Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Prime Minister Mark Carney on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Canada. The meeting opened the door for Anand's October visit in New Delhi and Jaishankar's subsequent visit to Canada for the G7 foreign ministers meeting. Since then, both sides have been quietly repairing ties. Carney, who replaced Trudeau, has been sending all the right signals. Even before his election, he emphasized strengthening economic relations with India. After taking office, he moved decisively to distance his government from Khalistani sympathizers. His appointment of 4 Indian origin ministers, Anita Anand, Maninder Sidhu, Ruby Sahota, and Randeep Sarai, all known for their moderate, non-Khalistani stance, was a clear message. Anand, who now leads Canada's foreign policy, has been a key voice for normalization with New Delhi. Now, Carney's government is also tightening immigration rules, cancelling some previously issued visas and curbing student inflows. At first glance, this seems like a setback for Indian students who form a large share of Canada's international enrollments. But a closer look suggests it could actually help clean up the system. Canada's college sector has become a breeding ground for fraud, illegal migration, and in some cases, extremist activity. Greater scrutiny in student and visa processing could actually strengthen India-Canada relations. Again, for years, these migration channels have been misused, both by Canada's flawed college education system looking to make billions off of Indian students and by Indians involved in criminal and Khalistan-linked activities. Canada needs to fix its visa and immigration system and clean up its education sector before it throws its doors open again for student intake. And Carney is playing strategically. Carney wants the pipeline of new immigrants to be skill-based. His first budget has earmarked 1.7 billion Canadian dollars, that is 1.2 billion US dollars, to attract over 1,000 skilled researchers. He also introduced an accelerated pathway for H-1B visa holders, mostly Indian tech professionals stuck in America's visa gridlock. All that uncertainty under the Trump regime that H-1B visa holders are facing will now be cashed in on by Canada. In short, Carney is going for fewer low-skilled entrants and more high-skilled workers, and that's a smart pivot. Now, if all goes well, talks for a free trade agreement, which were cancelled amid Trudeau's diplomatic clash with India, can be revived to explore the trade potential of this relationship. Earlier this year, India signed a massive trade deal with the UK, and Carney would be inclined to follow suit. Remember, this is about aligning interests in a world reshaped by Trump's tariff war. As Trump snubs allies and tears up trade talks, even over a Ronald Reagan ad, for example, Canada is searching for new economic and strategic anchors. India negotiating its own trade pact with the US represents that opportunity. Now, there is massive untapped potential in this relationship. Current goods trade stands at less than $10 billion, which is a fraction of what it could be. By improving trade ties and ironing out security and diplomatic differences, the two nations have a window to build new foundations for a strong relationship. Here's to hoping that this buzz of diplomatic engagements achieves long-term progress.